Enjoying spaciousness with the loving energy. The Loving Energy newsletter, sneak issue number 13. 1. Hello Solitude. 2. The Divine Reveals Space. 3. I am on my own. 4. Second Pyramid Transmission Edition Sacred Space. 5. I listen to me. One. Hello Solitude. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Loving Energy newsletter, sneak issue number 13. Nothing really left an impression for me to write about in the past few weeks, and so I asked the Spirit what this issue is about. They said solitude. Ah, of course. Solitude has a feeling of nothingness for me, and so nothing came up when I searched my mind for a topic. I learned the word solitude from Billie Holiday's song Solitude. The chorus says, I sit in my chair, filled with despair. There's no one could be so sad. With gloom everywhere, I sit and I stare. I know that I'll soon go mad. And that was how I felt that year, although I was hardly ever in solitude. I was staying in the university dormitory. My roommates were often around, and there were always something going on with the rest of my dorm mates. I was playing for 3 basketball teams and a softball team that year, and I spent a lot of time with all these teammates. Somehow, I couldn't feel connected with all these people, and I felt extra lonely when I was surrounded by them. I have been pretty much in solitude this past month with only Decca's company. Photoman and his father have been staying in Australia since early December. Everyone who found that I had spent Christmas and New Year without another human felt sorry for me. Don't feel bad for me. I'm well, I told them. I've been enjoying the peace of the nothingness. Decca makes sure we go out at least twice every day, even when there was a storm. The 5 km long beach, which is only a few minutes walk from us, is often empty, giving me the most spacious solitude. I laugh, I sing, I dance, I run, I shout, I cry, I chant, and I cheer for Decca, my boy, whenever he catches his precious tennis ball. In my solitude, I reconnect with myself. May your solitude be filled with peace, always. Love, Stephanie said, the Loving Energy. I used to sing along Billie Holiday's songs to ease my loneliness. What I didn't know was that singing is actually a powerful healing tool. In the video, What is Love? Day 25 Nurture, a simple technique to ease off the victim feeling, I explain how we can use this very simple tool. Two. The Divine Reveals Space. The Divine Reveal TDR is a quantum health process that typically runs for 5 to 8 weeks, approximately 12 to 14 hours appointment time. Mocha Ahern was inspired by Anita Mujani's near-death experience, NDE, as detailed in her book Dying to Be Me, to create this unique modality for bringing phenomenal transformation to committed individuals. All sessions are conducted online via Zoom. The first 2 steps of the TDR process, the TDR introductory session and Dying to Be Me book discussion, are always free of charge, so that you will have necessary information to decide if and when you want to engage in the whole process. To read more about TDR or to schedule a TDR introductory session, please use the links in the description. You might be wondering, what is it like to be at the range where Anita Mujani was during her NDE? I was one of Mocha Ahern's research subjects, and since I also went through the training to become a TDR practitioner, I had received quite a number of TDR hypnosis sessions from Mocha and my TDR classmates. and I can tell you from my many experiences that it is weird. Saying it is weird doesn't mean that it is not nice. It is amazing. The weird part of it for me is that even though it is so unlike my daily physical existence, it felt so familiar as if that was actually my normal self. During the first few sessions I had, when Mocha asked me how I felt, the only word I could come up with was clean. I felt so clean, and that where I was very clean. With the sessions I had with my classmate, I had told them that I was very huge and I felt nothing. What I didn't know was that whenever I became my pure essence, I tend not to be able to relate to experience with words. Now that I'm here typing, I can translate what I meant by clean and huge and nothing. I was in an expanded state, no longer confined in my physical body, and I felt so pure, like there was nothing there. The nothing feeling was like peace combined with freedom and nothing to hide that sort of openness. I was not just with everything, I became everything. See what I mean that the experience was weird? How could I have felt all that peace and freedom and purity and oneness and thought it was most familiar? Three, I am on my own. The thought of the moon cycle is, I am on my own. My father-in-law started working when he was 14 years old. Eventually he became a seaman and he jumped ship in Australia where he met my mother-in-law in the biscuit factory where they worked. They shared a wonderful life for decades, and when my mother-in-law passed away, he fell into depression. He would complain to whoever was listening that he was on his own and no one came to the house anymore, even though the fact that someone was listening to his complaints showed otherwise. Now that he has Alzheimer's and can no longer live on his own, Photoman brought him over to our island to better look after him. After an emergency surgery, he was very weak, and so one day, when Photoman had to be out somewhere, I made sure I was only a few steps away from him in case he suddenly wanted to get out of bed. His phone rang, and I saw it was my sister-in-law, probably calling to see how he was doing. My father-in-law was not very good with mobile phone, so I brought the phone to him, told him it was his daughter, pressed answer, and gave him the phone. I could hear my sister-in-law said, "How are you?" "I'm on a horse." "I am on my own," said my father-in-law. On a horse, alone, while I was standing right there having just handed him his phone. I was a bit like, "Am I transparent to you?" But I told myself it was not personal. On Photoman's previous visit to Australia with my father-in-law, a relative asked my father-in-law what it was like to be in Greece. My father-in-law said, "I was on my own. Sometimes people brought me food, but I was on my own." No mention to the many visits to the beach, cafes, or other outings. No mention of the fact that his son was practically living full-time with him. What can you do when a person has decided that he is on his own and he has no one there for him? Nothing anyone say or do can change his view, especially when he has Alzheimer's. During this moon cycle, notice what stories you tell yourself and if they are true reflection of your present world. In the blog article, Steps to Stay Away from Depression's Point of View, I talked about my super weird past life experience as depression and some simple techniques to stay away from depression or for having more joy and peace in daily life. The link to this article is in the description. In the blog article, My Long Journey to Ithaca, I talked about my mother-in-law and the love story between Photoman and me. The link to this article is in the description. Four, Second Pyramid Transmission, Edition, Space. Before any second treatment, we create a sacred space so that we work in a clean environment without disturbance. I always do it, and I do it thoroughly. But once upon a time, when I was preparing the space for my own healing, I wasn't so thorough. I did a second treatment for myself while sitting in bed, so I thought I would create a sacred space just big enough to surround the bed area. Normally, I would clear the whole room, including the walls, but I thought there was no need for myself. I wasn't entirely wrong, and I was glad for the mistake, because I learned 2 things from the experience. 1. Sacred space does work. 2. The spirits do come to the rescue when needed. What happened was that while I was all zoned out, feeling so relaxed with my psychic senses intensified during both the facilitating and receiving of a second treatment, I saw an entity in the corner of my room. That was the first time I saw one, but I wasn't afraid, partly because of the zoned out state I was in, and partly because the entity appeared in cartoon form. A cute black and white cartoon caveman with round head, round body, and round limbs, and the size of a rabbit. I knew he was feeling hostile because he was baring his teeth at me. I felt like he wanted to charge at me, but he couldn't enter my sacred space. I wasn't trained to ward off entity at the time. What to do? Luckily, a memory surfaced. A friend told me I should call on Jesus in situations like this, and he would always come. Okay. Jesus, Jesus, help me, I said inside my head. I felt a bubble came out of my chest. It was a black and white cartoon figure, also rabbit size. I suppose that was Jesus. He went straight to the caveman, and he pushed him out of my bedroom to the backyard through the wall and disappeared. It felt weird though. How come Jesus came out of my chest? The next day, a client came for a second treatment. I didn't mention anything about the caveman and Jesus episode, but he said, Jesus is inside our heart. Oh, thanks for the answer. Second pyramid transmission started when an idea came to me to share second in a simple way. It is not how I normally facilitate a second treatment. What I do with second pyramid transmission is that I channel a certain amount of second energy for you. I also create a pyramid for you at sacred place to be placed around you when you are receiving the transmission. My Divine Spirit team fills the pyramid with elements and colors according to the moon cycle's collective energy needs. You can receive this transmission at your convenience during the moon cycle. Here's what you need to do in order to receive the transmission. 1. Get comfortable by either sitting with your back supported or lying down on your back for relaxation and circulation. 2. Give intention to the effect of, I would like to receive the snake issue number 13, second pyramid transmission now, to my highest good and will. 3. Relax for about half an hour. That's it. This time, my Divine Spirit team filled the pyramid with the vibration of rainbow and rain cloud. Look up the properties of these items if you feel drawn to. You may or may not feel anything. It's fine. Having sensation is not a requirement. The only requirement is that you are willing to receive. Please remember to say, to my highest good and will, so you know you are in control. If you have any questions, please leave a comment here. I would love to hear about your experience. Five. I listen to me. The "You are amazing" affirmation of this moon cycle is, I listen to me. Recently, I received a guidance from the Spirit that said we need to give ourselves space to hear ourselves think. Do nothing, not even meditation, just do nothing and listen to your thoughts. Prior to giving me this message, they showed me a past life. I was a teenage boy living in rural Burma. Since being very ill when he was 6 years old, Left side of my past character's body has such stiffness that his left hand and left foot were permanently curled up, and the left side of his body appeared to be shorter than the right side. He had no shoes. Regular shoes didn't fit him, and he couldn't afford custom-made shoes. Despite his disability, he worked in the rice field every day. His body hurt, but he had to work harder than everyone because he feared that his boss would fire him. People bullied him because of his appearance. His mother left him. His father was often drunk and beat him. The father also drank away what little they had, and he was constantly hungry. He was also constantly anxious whenever someone approached him because people enjoyed hurting him. When I landed on the next scene, I felt my chest was cracking. He was heartbroken because he noticed that the girl he fancied treated him differently. He thought no one would ever want him and he would end up alone. The next scene found him on his knee, with his hands and forehead on the ground. He was showing respect outside the temple ground. The priest went to him not to bless him, but to make sure he wouldn't step foot in the temple ground because he believed the boy was either a mistake by the sky or it was his punishment to have this physical disability. The boy said he liked to pay his respect to the temple even though it wasn't any use to him. He said people told him in his next life he would continue receiving more punishment. Next, he reported that his father died from falling into the river and cracking his head open on a rock. He thought his father wanted to drown himself, but he slipped because he was too drunk. He now had a little bit more to eat since his father wasn't there to drink away part of his rice, which was his salary. He was completely alone. I watched as he washed his feet in the water in the rice field. He said his feet felt so nice in the water, and his left foot hurt a little less whenever it was in the water. He said he had decided to die, and he was going to do that in the river. He wanted to be held. He didn't want to be hurting anymore. He wanted his whole body to be held by the river. The day he was going to die, he got up early as usual. He made extra rice, and he ate till his belly was full while he watched the sunrise. He said he wanted to feel full for his final day, and he could do that because he didn't need to eat after that. He put on his new set of clothes. He got himself a new set of clothes before his old ones were torn. He felt very good in his new clothes because usually his clothes were smelly and worn out. He had never had a day off, so on this day, it was brand new to him to stay at home at this hour. His home was made of just one room, and the only furniture he had was a low table for his meals and some straw mats. He paced around and he lazed around lying on the floor, enjoying the luxury of doing nothing. He looked at his deformed foot, touched it, felt it, and he said, "I have decided that I like my foot. It gives me pain, but it does help me to go to places. It's good that I have a foot. I like my foot. It is a good foot." He looked at his deformed hand and he said, "My hand gives me pain, but it does help me. I have decided that I like my hand. It is a good hand. I don't think I'm a mistake, no matter what they say. I think I'm fine as I am." The spirit explained that the boy had to work every day. He was too busy and too occupied to hear his own thoughts, and he took up other people's thought that he was a mistake. Therefore, it is important that we give ourselves space and listen to ourselves. The boy did go to the river to die that day. At the river, he declared his wish for his next life, which was to have shoes that fit him. He was careful not to sleep like his father, and he found that it wasn't easy to die in the river as he couldn't stay inside. While he was struggling, a man who went there fishing asked what he was doing. After realizing that the man wasn't going to leave, he told the man his plan while sitting on a rock. The man tried to talk him out of killing himself. The boy explained he couldn't not die because he had no more rice. The man looked at the boy's foot and hand and said his life must have been hard. He learned the boy's wish about having shoes that fit in his next life and enough rice that filled his belly. That's all we can hope for, shoes that fit and enough rice to fill the belly and a family to share, said the man. The boy said he didn't have any family. Why don't you come stay with us? We can have one more, said the man. He held the boy in his arm and carried him to the shore. He told the boy to lie down and he massaged his foot. The boy was afraid at first, but soon he drifted off to a deep sleep. In the next scene, there was a lot of activity. The man and his wife had 4 children who were taught to see everyone equally. The boy explained, "Some people are tall and some people are short, and I have a hand and a foot that curl up." His body didn't give him as much pain now that he didn't have to work in the rice field. The adopted father happened to be a medical man, and he treated the boy with herbs and massage. "I have shoes that fit me," the boy said happily. At the last day of his life, he was surrounded by his family. "I have a wife," the boy now man said shyly but proudly. His wife and 4 children were there, together with his large adopted family. He became a medical man like his new father, and he had helped many people. He didn't die in the river that day. That wasn't his strongest wish. His strongest wish was to be held, and he ended up not held by the river, but by his new family. During this moon cycle, say, "I listen to me," daily and often, and see how your perspective changed to one of love, because love is the core of who we all are. If you want to experience your own past life story, sign up for a free BQH Beyond Quantum Healing Let's Chat session to see how I can help you do that. To find out what a BQH session with me can be like, have listened to BQH session recording, colors, sun, gluten intolerance. I put a link in the description and the end screen of this video. The links to my BQH page and to schedule a BQH Let's Chat session are also in the description. We have reached the end of the snake issue number 13. The next issue will arrive at your mailbox on the 17th of February 2026, Tuesday, which is the Chinese Spring Festival that marks the beginning of the Year of the Horse. Yes, the next new moon day.